It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Chicka, chicka, boom, boom. It's the Leo Be the Lion show. Boom, boom. Gonna tell you what you need to know. Boom, boom. Now here comes your boy Leo. Hey everybody, it's your boy Leo Be the Lion coming to you live here on August 21st, 2023 at Respectable Street on Clematis in beautiful downtown West Palm Beach. I come to you live for the Leo Be the Lion show every Monday from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern, and you can listen to me live on www.subcultureradio.com, aka Radio Respects, but that's subcultureradio.com. Check it out and go to the Listen Live link, and you can hear me, Leo Be the Lion, come to talk about sports and business with a South Florida flavor. And sometimes I get into miscellaneous stuff that's just piquing my interest. So if you can't catch me live, check me out on YouTube at Leo Be the Lion Show. Search for Leo Be the Lion Show, and I'll be the first thing that pops up. My little icon is a picture of me with some sunglasses on, and then and you'll be able to subscribe, like, or share some of my videos, or even comment when you don't agree with me. I'd love to hear the disagreements, because I think that makes talk radio a little bit better when you don't always agree with your audience. So before we get into sports and the Dolphins Pre-Season Week 2 matchup versus the Texans, and review a little bit more about NFL win totals, over-under totals, according to covers.com. We're going to talk about shenanigans, what I did over the weekend, and get into how fast the weekend goes. So when you're thinking about the weekend, when I thought about the weekend, the first thing that I thought of was on Friday night I went to Kabuki on Clematis. Shout out to downtown West Palm Beach. Went to Kabuki, and it was delicious, but the one thing that stands out is I remember cheersing and celebrating with my girlfriend, just saying, all right, cheers to the weekend. It's Friday night. Cheers to the weekend. Let's have a great weekend. And the next thing I know, it's Monday morning, and I'm at work in my office, and be like, dang, weren't we just saying cheers to the weekend? So that's how fast it goes. And from Friday night to Sunday afternoon, we watched Barbie. I finally got to see Barbie. And may I just say, I thought it was a good movie. Some of it was just too silly for me. Like, parts of it were just too silly. I guess, being an adult, I guess seemed a little too childish. But I think it was good for guys to watch. It's not just for girls. But I do think it was good for guys to watch. But probably most men that may have issues or may take exception with the subject matter, which they were talking about, patriarchy and misogyny and toxic masculinity. A lot of the men that may have an issue with that, and in the past I've had issues with that, but I've learned and come to see some new stuff. But I do think with the Barbie movie, a lot of the men who may have issues with that subject matter may not see it. So it's kind of like, I hope that it can change some hearts and minds. But I do think the Barbie movie is a good illustration for the opposite of what society is. It kind of shed a light on, how male-driven the society is and gave a woman's perspective. And I just thought that was interesting because, to be real, I never thought of it that way. That, I was like, oh yeah, Ken is having a great time in the real world, but he wasn't having a great time in the Barbie land. And I was relating more to Ken when he finally got to the real world. I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. He's getting more attention and stuff. So that was interesting to see. So after seeing the Barbie movie, just chilled, got my house in order for the Monday morning, and here we are. It's Monday evening. Leo Be the Lion show coming to you live from subcultureradio.com. Go to subcultureradio.com and click the Listen Live link, and you can listen to me live from 6 to 7 Eastern on Mondays. And if you can't catch me live, check me out on YouTube at Leo Be the Lion Show. That's at Leo Be the Lion Show, SHOW. And you can like, subscribe, and comment on my videos, if you please. I really appreciate it. And thanks to everyone that tunes in and listens or watches the show and interacts with me. I make a point to interact with anybody that comments on the YouTube. I learned I learned very there's somebody parking on the street. I mean on the sidewalk, but it's okay. This is a live show after all, Leo Be the Lion show. So now, after just touching on whatever I did over the weekend, let's talk about NFL football. It's NFL football on the gridiron. I try to do John Facenda's voice, but I don't do it justice. Look up John Facenda, John H-O-N. I mean H-O-N, Han. John, J-O-N, F-A-C-E-N-D-A, John Facenda. He was the voice of NFL films. He's got one of the most unique voices that I've ever heard, and he is the voice of football as far as I'm concerned, besides John Madden. So, Dolphins had their preseason Week 2 matchup against the Houston Texans in Houston, and it was all Dolphins all the time, just how we like it. The Dolphins ended up winning and beating the Texans 28-3 in Houston, and the starters did play for a couple series on offense and for at least a quarter, I believe, on defense. But there was a few starters out, like Jalen Waddle, Taron Armstead, players that were getting healthy or trying to get healthy for Week 1. And a lot of times those players that are trying to get healthy for Week 1 don't necessarily need the reps in preseason. The Dolphins and the Texans had been scrimmaging on Thursday and Friday prior to the game, or 2 days, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, and then the off day Friday before the game, and then Saturday was the game at 4 o'clock. After losing to the losing to the Falcons 19-3, I was worried about this Dolphins performance. Yeah, we were supposed to handle the Texans, but I was worried that even our backups would get caught lacking in Houston and end up making it a close game or making it where Houston got the win, and it would show that, the Dolphins don't really have that much depth. But I was proud of the Dolphins backups, proud of the Dolphins roster. That shows that we do have a kind of a deeper roster this year than in years past. Because in years past, the Dolphins would lose these preseason games in the second half, and you would say to yourself, okay, our starters can compete, but then once you lose the starters, you have nobody. So the Dolphins did a good job to bounce back from their preseason Week 1 loss of the Falcons 19-3 to beat the Texans 28-3. Tua had a good game, in my opinion. He started off the worst you can start off, well, save for it being a pick 6. He threw an interception on the first play. It was an RPO option where he decided to bypass the run, and then he ended up passing, and he probably thought the receiver was going to run more of a drag route, but the receiver ran more of a slant route, and it ended up getting intercepted underneath by Denzel Perryman from the University of Miami. And to us, after that, a lot of quarterbacks, it would be tough for them to come back throwing an interception right there first pass. But it's preseason after all, so it wasn't that much pressure. And also, it was the first pass. So Tua's like, all right, I know I'm Tua Tagovailoa. Like, I know I'm better than this. Come on. So after that, he proceeded to go 5 of 6 after throwing that first pick. Proceeded to go 5 of 6 for 61 yards. And so he led the drive after the Dolphins stopped the Texans in the red zone on 4 straight downs. Tua took the ball over, or the offense took the ball over, and then were able to, from their own 10-yard line, were able to drive 94 yards and come up with a rushing touchdown by Raheem Mostert to start the game 7-0 for the Dolphins. And this was clutch. This was a great momentum and confidence booster for the Miami Dolphins starting offense, because to throw an interception the first play of the game, and then your defense holds you up, doesn't allow a point, and then you get back on the field, and having a 3rd down and 13 in your own red zone or in your own deep in your own territory and then being able to convert third down after third down and drive 90-plus yards, 14 plays to score a touchdown is a great job of planning, a great job of execution by the Dolphins offense. Skylar Thompson, when he came in after Mike White went down with a concussion, Mike White's going to miss some time now with a concussion, so it looks like Skylar Thompson's going to be the number 2 quarterback going forward, and he looked good. He was 15 of 22 for 157 yards and 3 touchdowns with no interceptions. He's got an arm. He knows the offense. He's kind of shifty. He did run a lot. He has over 1,000 yards, career yards at Kansas State. But he's young, and he kind of needs to trust his eyes a little bit more, because sometimes he'll try to place it too much, and he just needs to trust his arm and his eyes and just see a guy, let it fly, like Dan Marino says for Skylar Thompson. But he had a great game, 15 to 22. That's basically about 73% or 72%. And then you got 157 yards with 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. That's a good TD to INT ratio. The O-line did okay. Even though Brandon Jones went down, now he's going to find out he's going to miss. He's one of our O linemen and one of our guards, Robert Jones, excuse me. Now that he's going to go down he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks with an MCL tear. That's tough. That's a similar injury to what. Let's see if he needs surgery, but that's a similar injury to what Jalen Ramsey had. So now, although that happened, although there was injuries on the O-line, the Dolphins O-line only allowed 2 sacks, none of Tua, and what I might say is that Tua was able to get the ball away sooner, and there was a play where, similar to the Bills play, where the Bills pushed him after he had released the ball, but instead of him landing on his back and on his head, he landed on his shoulder a little bit more, and it was almost like as if he was turning to his side, and he was able to brace himself and play a little and be able to live to fight another day instead of getting a concussion. So I was proud of Tua, put me a little bit more at ease, and for him to come back, like I said, after throwing that interception and lead his team down for a touchdown, all the credit in the world goes to Tua and that offense to be able to bounce back after that and control the game. The running game continues to look promising. After week 1, the Falcons couldn't really stop Myles Gaskin. Myles Gaskin had a big run, and the Dolphins' running game was able to gash the Falcons, although they only put up 3 points. But in week 2 against the Texans, as a team, the Dolphins had 38 carries for 205 yards and a touchdown, which is good for 5.3, basically 5.4 yards a carry, which is excellent. If we could get that every week, I'd say the Dolphins would go undefeated, because to have that 200-plus yards, a touchdown, and 5.4 yards per carry, that means you're moving the chains with your running game. And if you're moving the chains with your running game, the offense or the defense has no idea what you're going to do. So that means your running game is just as good as your pass. All the RPOs can work. All the play actions can work. Basically, Mike McDaniel's full offense can work. So I'm excited for what the Dolphins got going with their running game. It looks like they've committed to their running game. And breaking news in the NFL, Jonathan Taylor, speaking of running game, has just requested, or the Colts have just approved Jonathan Taylor to seek a trade. He had been asking for a trade, but now the Colts have finally okayed that he could go into trade talks. So let's see if the Dolphins can get him. But I don't think they will be, because he might be looking for a huge contract, and I don't want the Dolphins to spend that much money, a la to Dalvin Cook kind of thing. So Jonathan Taylor is now in permission from the Colts to get traded. Overall, for the Dolphins offense, I'm proud of the way they played. I'll give them a B+. I'll give them an A for the offense, because, shoot, it wasn't an A+ because they threw that interception, still got sacked twice. But as an offense, we played the Texans, so take it with a grain of salt. But they still look good against the Texans' first-team defense. On defense, now I want to give the defense an A as well. They didn't get really turnovers, but they were able to hold the Texans to only 3 points. If it was an A+, it would be with turnovers and a shutout. So defense looks good after being on short field. They were on short field the first possession. They were at their own 15 the first possession for the defense. But they were able to hold them. And might I must say, Noah Igbenogany is coming along. Jalen Phillips is coming along, and Brandon Pilley is coming along. They continue to impress. And the D-line looks great. And these key players to watch on the D-line are going to be super important in the season. Zach Sealer, Jalen Phillips, Brandon Pilley, and, of course, Christian Wilkins. Now, the Dolphins' D-line is going to be key, super key, major key, quintessential for the Dolphins' success. If the Dolphins' D-line does not play well this year, the Dolphins won't be successful on defense, and therefore they won't be successful as a team. So look for the D-line to, as they go, the Dolphins will go. The only problem with the D-line right now that the Dolphins are experiencing is that Christian Wilkins, who's on his rookie deal, his last year of his rookie deal, is requesting a new contract before the season starts. He's holding out right now. He's taking part in like light practices, but he's not playing in the official scrimmages, nor is he playing in the games. So it's kind of like a hold in. But he wants a new deal. He doesn't want to play on the last year of his rookie deal. He thinks he deserves it, and I think he deserves it. So pay Christian Wilkins. He's one of the anchors to our defense. We want to have a deep D-line because if you look at Super Bowl champions of past, they've had a great D-line, and we want to be able to have a deep D-line so that we can be able to, on defense, control the line of scrimmage because we all know that's a major key in the NFL. The secondary is improving, like I mentioned, I alluded to before with Noah Igbenogany. And then Eli Apple, we signed Eli Apple as well. So the Dolphins are improving. The one place that I'm worried for the Dolphins is the offensive line. It gives me concern and it gives me pause because when you talk about the Dolphins and you talk about any NFL team or any football team, if you don't have a good O-line, you don't have a good offense. And that's what worries me tremendously about the Dolphins is that their offensive linemen are dropping like flies. You have Terron Armstead, who has this thing where he's just not going to play anymore. We don't know what it is. It's a lower leg injury. We don't know what it is. It could be a meniscus, but he says he's going to try to get ready for week 1. Then you have Robert Jones, who is a guard who we really need. We need depth at our O-line, especially when Liam Eichenberg isn't playing that well. He got hurt with a meniscus. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. So 4 to 6 weeks, that has him missing basically the first 2 weeks of the season at minimum. And so you want to have depth at your O-line. So I'm really concerned about the Dolphins' O-line. Let's see what we can do. Remember, for the secondary, the Dolphins are getting back Brandon Jones, who's a potential Pro Bowler, and they will be getting back Jalen Ramsey as well. The O-line, hopefully Terron Armstead can play at least 14 games this year. We need him to play at least 14 games plus the playoffs. We can't have him getting injured. He's an offensive line on the left tackle. Bro, do what you got to do. And what I've noticed, I think he needs to work on his – he doesn't need to skip. It looks like he's been skipping leg day. So I need Terron Armstead. And I'm no one to talk. I'm not an NFL player by any means. I'm not in any shape of an NFL player. But when he keeps having little toe injuries, little ankle injuries, little lower leg injuries, you got to question if there's something going on with your muscles and your joints down there. Like, are you prepping them to play and be prepared to face the grueling NFL season and the grueling NFL schedule? Because there's no cupcakes on the NFL schedule. There's no easy games. You can't really take a game off and expect to win in the NFL. Because any given Sunday, any team can beat you. Now, next week, the Dolphins are traveling again to go to the Jags in Jacksonville. So it's an in-state rival, Dolphins at Jags. And the key for week 3 is to keep the running game going, see how we can do the running game. This is the last game before the season starts. And so, there's only 3 preseason games now because there's 17 regular season games. There used to be 4 preseason and 16 regular season, but now they switched one. So the key for week 3 against the Jaguars is to keep everyone healthy. So I hope the starters don't start. I hope it's one of those things like treated like week 4, the preseason. It's week 3. Starters don't start. Skylar Thompson can get the heavy amount of reps. Maybe James Blackman. The Dolphins re-signed James Blackman because they had released him because they had 3 quarterbacks, but now Mike White is in the concussion protocol, so they re-signed him off the practice squad. So stay healthy. Keep everyone healthy and try to get healthy as they can be for week 1 against the Chargers in Los Angeles. That's going to be a tough matchup. The Dolphins open their season with 3 tough matchups, especially week 1 against the Chargers. Week 2, I believe it's the Patriots. And then week 3 at home against the Broncos. So it's a tough little matchup. Like I mentioned, every team in the NFL is a tough matchup. So you can't take a week off. There's no cupcakes in the NFL. So go Dolphins, because it's the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins #1. Let's go. Yeah, so go Dolphins. Now, after talking about the Dolphins, recapping the Dolphins Week 2 preseason game, let's get into the NFL win totals brought to you by Covers.com. According to Covers.com, the NFL win totals, the over-under win totals, are posted every year, and Las Vegas has all the sports books at Las Vegas. All the sports books everywhere have futures, NFL futures, where you can bet on the amount of wins your team is going to get, whether they think they're going to get over a certain amount of wins or under a certain amount of wins. And it pays out, certain odds depending whether you go over or under. And it is interesting because sometimes some of those numbers look weird, like why would they have a team at this many wins? But you'll see. I'm going to go through division by division and tell you where I think some lines are good and some lines look fugazi, some lines look kind of wrong. So let's see where the value is, and let's start with the AFC East. But before we get to the AFC East, you are listening to the Leo Be the Lion Show, brought to you every Monday live, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern on subcultureradio.com. You can listen to me live, or if you can't catch the live show, I tape the recordings and I post them on YouTube via my channel at Leo Be the Lion Show. You can catch those possibly the next day or a couple days after the show airs. I try to get them out before my hashtag 5-pack of picks are settled, so that you can, wager along with me and see if my picks are right or wrong, and, clown me if they're wrong or praise me if they're right. Let me know. But at Leo Be the Lion Show, I do talk a little mix of sports and business. I like to, most shows, well, a regular show I would say would be when you're talking about what happened with the local sports teams, and then a local issue, and then what's happening with the stock market for that week. What can you expect? Since it's a Monday, I'll tell you, I'll tell you what to expect for the week, what economic indicators are coming down for the week on the stock market. But if it's a jam-packed sports week, like most, we're getting into the NFL season now, so most of the Leo Be the Lion Show episodes for the rest of the year will be mainly about football, with my hashtag 5-pack of picks for college football and the NFL. But I do make a point to talk about local teams. So if there's any Bucks news, Jags news, Dolphins news, Magic news, Heat news, etc., if the Marlins continue to perform well and be in the wild card hunt, best believe I'm going to keep talking about the Marlins. So, like I said, find me at YouTube and IG at Leo Be the Lion Show. Please follow, subscribe, like, comment, and I'll make sure to get back to you on those comments. So like I mentioned earlier, let's get into these NFL win totals by Covers.com. They might be a slightly different than Las Vegas sportsbooks have or other sportsbooks have. Come on, Dolphins, we need to get with the program. The only reason why the Dolphins are going to be this low is because Tua's injury history. So let's start with the Dolphins in the AFC East. The Dolphins are projected at 9.5 wins on the over-under. This is the Leo Be the Lion Show, coming to you live every Monday from 6 to 7 p.m. here on subcultureradio.com. And if you can't find me live, I tape the shows and post them on YouTube at Leo Be the Lion Show. So The Dolphins are projected to get 9.5 wins, and the over pays even money or plus 100, and the under plays minus 120. So that means if you bet 120, you win 100. And that's how we're going to be talking about the odds here. So the Dolphins are 9.5. I'm going to go with the Dolphins having over. The Dolphins need to go over the 9.5 wins. I like the Dolphins to get at least 11 wins this year, go 11-6. Last year, I predicted that the Dolphins would go 12-5, but that was before Tua got injured. They were 8-3 on a good tear. Started off the season 3-0. Then when Tua got injured, lost the next 3 games, 3-3, and basically finished the season 10-9, or excuse me, 9-9, because they lost in the playoffs. Now let's get to the Bills. The Bills are projected at 10.5 wins. And something that tells you that Vegas thinks that the Bills are going to get more than 10.5 wins is that the over is the favorite. The over pays minus 150, so that means you have to wager 150 to win 100. And the under pays plus 130, so that means you have to wait. If you wager 100, you get paid 130 if the Bills win less than 10.5 games. So knowing me, I think people expect the Bills to do great this year, but I think they're going to come back to earth. So give me the under, and I say the Bills win 10 games this year. The Jets are at 9.5. The over is minus 115, and the under is minus 105. That's when the sportsbook's not really sure, so they'll put both the over and the under at minus money. They won't put it at plus money. They won't give you odds for that. So give me the Jets to be over. I'm going to say they're going to win 10 games this year. And then the Patriots, yes, they do have Bill Belichick, but the Patriots are projected to get over under 6.5 wins this year. If the Patriots get under 6.5 wins, I'll be shocked, and so will Vegas, because the under pays 120 plus 120, but the over plays minus 40. So give me the Patriots to get 7 wins this year. I say that everybody in the AFC East except the Bills goes under at 10.5, but the Dolphins at 9.5, Jets at 9.5, and the Patriots at 6.5 all go over on their win totals. Now for the AFC South, we have the Colts coming in at 6.5. They just approved, breaking news, the NFL just approved, according to ESPN, the Colts just approved Jonathan Taylor to seek a trade and to approve trade talks. So the Colts line should move, but the Colts are at over-under at 6.5 wins. Give me the Colts to go under the 6.5 wins. I think they're going to be not a great team this year. They have Anthony Richardson as their starting quarterback. He's a rookie. So I can see the rookie winning 6 games, 6-11. They won't have a running game now that Jonathan Taylor's leaving. So if Jonathan Taylor doesn't stay, give me the Colts to go under. That's even money plus 100. Then the Jags. I think the Jags are going to really surprise some people. And yes, they are the highest win total in the AFC South with 9.5 wins. But give me the Jags to be the clear division win, or to be tied with the division winner. So I'm going to say the Jags win 10 games. So they're going to give me the over at minus 140. Then we have the Titans. This is surprising me. I think it's because the quarterback situation. Usually the quarterback's good for a couple wins here and there. The Titans are expected to get the over-under set at 7.5. 7.5. So give me the Titans to go over that. I hope they get to at least 9 wins, not 10 wins, so they can compete with the Jags. But give me the Titans to go over their win total. And then the Texans are projected at 6.5 wins. Give me the Texans under because they got destroyed. I don't think C.J. Stroud is going to be a good quarterback, at least this year for the Texans. And the Texans are still rebuilding. They have DeMeco Ryans as their coach. He's a first-year coach. So give me the Texans to go under the 6.5. Now, we have the AFC West for the over-under totals for the NFL. The AFC West, let's start with the Broncos. The Broncos are sitting at 8.5 wins for their over-under. And it's minus 110, minus 110. That's the standard odds that you would get, everything else being equal. So I'm going to give the Broncos. The Broncos are going to surprise some people with Sean Payton at coach and go over their 8.5 wins. Then we have the Chiefs at 11.5. seems kind of tough because like it seems like a steal. It's minus 140 for over the 11.5. But yeah, give me that, pound that, because I think that line is a little fugazi. It's a little too low. I think the Chiefs are going to at least win 13 games, so they could be at 12.5. I might look at 12.5. Then the Los Angeles Chargers at 9.5. I think they're also going to go over. This is going to be the other competitive division. And then the Raiders, I think, are going to go under. I'm not sure about the Raiders with Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm not sure what they're in the rebuilding mode. I'm not sure what's up with the Raiders. So give me the Raiders to go under 6.5. Then with the AFC North, the Browns, I think, with Massage Watson, a.k.a. Deshaun Watson, a.k.a. Dog, 23 charges. Dog, that's a lot. Do better. I think the Browns are going to go under. I apologize to Miss Rhonda. She's a big Browns fan, but I'm sorry. The Browns are going to go under 9 wins. They're plus 115 to go over, minus 135 to go under. Give me the Browns under 9.5 wins. Then we have Bengals, 10.5 wins. I think they're going to go under. I think the Bengals will win 10 games this year, 10-7. And then we have the Ravens. The Ravens are going to be the class of the AFC North. And the Ravens are going to go over 10.5 wins at even money, plus 100. They'll go over. And then we have the Steelers at 8.5. And Mike Tomlin has never had a losing record with the Steelers since he's been a coach, and it's been like 14 straight years. No coach has ever gone that long. So give me the Steelers. They're sit at 8.5. If they can stay healthy, T.J. Watt and them defense will carry the team for Kenny Pickett. Give me the Steelers to go over the 8.5. So that rounds out your AFC. I have the AFC going. Most teams going over. One quick thing. This is the Leo Be the Lion show coming to you live every Monday, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, live via subcultureradio.com. And if you can't catch me live, check me out on YouTube or IG at Leo Be the Lion Show. And I just have to say, I'm tired of like spam calls and spam texts. If in the next life we could all like figure out how to like at least find out where all these spam people live, or if they're a bot, like find out where the servers are and just absolutely obliterate every remnants and pour salt onto the ruins like Carthage so that they will never grow again, because I'm completely fed up with spam calls. I've cussed them out. I've done nothing. I've just let it be. And now I just got a spam text asking if my name was Rachel and if I wanted some loving. So no, I don't. And my name's not Rachel. So I'm good in that department. So please, for the love of all that is real on earth, no more spam calls and no more spam texts. You can do better. Imagine like how correctional officers would say about people in jail. They have 24 hours to come up with gadgets. We only have 8 hours on the shift. It's the same thing. Could you imagine if those spam people came up and spent their working time, or the hackers, whoever are behind the spam, spent their working time actually like doing good for society, or just doing neutral for society and just doing their own job? They'd probably be making bank at their own computer careers instead of hacking other people's stuff and holding people for ransom. So, yeah, that's soapbox. So the NFC East over-unders, Cowboys 10.5. Give me the Cowboys to go under. I don't trust. The Cowboys are perennially overhyped, so sorry, Cowboys fans. Are going under 10.5 at minus 135. The Giants surprised me at being over-under 7.5. Shout out to boy D'Amico. Shout out to everybody, all the Giants fans that I know. I know a lot of Giants and Jets fans. I don't like the Jets fans, but the Giants fans are okay. So, Giants fans, I say shout out to them. The Giants are going over 7.5 wins this year. Daniel Jones is going to be better. If Saquon Barkley can stay healthy, they'll do better. Commanders 6.5 wins over under. I say the Commanders go over with their team. I think Commanders will do all right, especially now that they sold the team. Now that Dan Snyder is not the owner anymore, the Commanders will do better and they'll just play better. And then the Eagles are set at 11.5 wins, the over-under. Give me the Eagles to go under. They might win 11 games, but I don't think they'll go 14-3 like they did last year. Teams are going to figure it out and catch up to that offense. Then the NFC South, the Saints are sitting at 9.5 wins. They don't have Sean Payton. They do have Derek Carr, but he hasn't really played yet in the preseason. And they are getting Michael Thomas back from a couple-year hiatus of being injured. So give me the Saints to go over and to be the top team in the NFC South. With the Panthers doing okay with Bryce Young, but I still think the Panthers are going to have some ways to go. So give me the Panthers going under. They'll get 7 wins. The Bucks are at 6.5 wins over-under. And just because the defense, give me the Bucks over. And they have a lot of weapons with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and all them. So give me the over 6.5 wins. And then we have the Falcons at 8.5 wins. Desmond Ridder, he's a running quarterback, scrambler out of Cincinnati. But give me the Falcons to go under and just get 8 wins, 8 and 9. Then we have the NFC West, which is the 49ers at 10.5 wins. The 49ers are the class of the NFC in general. It's the Eagles, the 49ers, and then everybody else for the NFC. So give me the 49ers are at 10.5 wins. If the quarterback situation can stay healthy, let's just say they get to 11. They'll go over with 11 wins. The Seahawks, 9.5. I'm writing off Geno again. I'm sorry. I just don't think Geno is going to do it now. I don't think the Seahawks have gotten really much better. Yeah, they did get another wide receiver, but they're at 9.5 wins. I'll say they go over and get 10 wins. I'm not really a huge believer. I don't think they'll take the division from the Niners, but the Seahawks will be competing. The Cardinals, the lowest team of the Vegas over-under, the Cardinals are a dumpster fire right now. Kyler Murray is still injured, coming back from injury. They don't have any backup quarterbacks, really, and their roster is full of holes. They're at 4.5 wins. I think the Cardinals will go under. They'll go 3-14 this year. Sorry, y'all. And then the Rams sit at 6.5. Matt Stafford's going to be back. I think they'll be the surprise team, and they'll get at least 8-9 wins. So give me the over for the Rams. Now to round out the NFC, let's go to the NFC North division. The Packers, the defending division the defending playoff appearance from the Packers. The Packers are 7.5 wins. They didn't make the playoffs last year, but the Packers are sitting at 7.5 wins. They lost Aaron Rodgers. Let's see what Jordan Love can do. I'm going to say they go under and just get 7 wins. The Lions, this is probably their highest over-under win total in years. They're sitting at 9.5 wins. The Lions are supposed to be the best team in the NFC North. Give me the Lions to come in at 10-7. So give me an over with the Lions. I got you, IMAC, man. Let's go Lions. Shout out to IMAC, my friend, who's got a lot of Detroit roots. Detroit, what? So then we got the Chicago Bears at 7.5. The Chicago Bears minus 130 to go over, plus 110. Vegas thinks that Justin Fields is going to take another leap forward, and so do I. I think the Bears will be better with more players added around Justin Fields, and they're better. So give me the over. I take the Bears to win at least 9 games, 9-8. Then we have the Vikings at 8.5. The Vikings were 10-0 in one-score games last year. That's not going to happen again. It's never happened 2 straight years where a team has been over 75% in one-score games back-to-back. And I just pulled that number. I just made that stat up. But when you have your own show, you can do things like that. So the Vikings are sitting at 8.5 wins over-under, and it's minus 110 for both sides. Give me the Vikings to go under and only get 8 wins this year, 8-9. I'm not a believer in Kirk Cousins. And so now let's get into my hashtag 5-pack of picks. First, let me give you the recap. I was sitting at 84, 61, and 3 before my last show, and I had Colombia versus Jamaica in the Ladies World Cup. I had Marlins versus Reds. I had Rangers. I had the Phillies winning, and I had the Yankees winning. Well, Colombia beat Jamaica, so that was 1-0 in my hashtag 5-pack of picks. Then the Marlins beat the Reds 2-0, so that brought me to Marlins beat the Reds, so that brought me to 2-0. Then the Rangers took the L at 2-1. The Phillies got the win, so I'd be 3-1. And then the Yankees which I think was 2 weeks ago. They started their losing streak. The Yankees are under 500 for the first time since 1995, and that's bad. So so this brought my hashtag 5-pack of picks for the previous weeks to 87, 63, and 3. I went 3 and 2 last week. And now let me give you my hashtag 5-pack of picks for this week. Soon to be world famous hashtag 5-pack of picks. Check out my record, 87, 63, and 3. That's 24 games over 500. When NFL Week 1 kicks off, I'm going to restart it at 0-0 just to prove that every week I can pick 2 college games and 3 NFL games and still go over 500 on my hashtag 5-pack of picks. Shout out if you can do that, and I'm picking them against the spread. But this week, I have 2 college football games. Yes, there's college football is back this week, ladies and gentlemen, and they're 2 cupcake picks. I just want to I'm a stat padder sometimes. So I have 2 college football games, and then I have the 3 Wednesday night baseball games that I'm accustomed to picking when there's not any other sport on. So for the first game in my hashtag 5-pack of picks for this week, I have Notre Dame versus Navy in Dublin, Ireland. It's cool that the Irish are playing the kickoff game in week 0 in Ireland versus Navy. The pomp and circumstance of the game, the college football tradition, it's all going to be in full throat in Ireland. And the Irish own this rivalry, right? So in the past, and this is not something I made up, but in the past 50 years, let's say, Navy probably has beaten Notre Dame at the most 3 times. So Notre Dame owns this rivalry, but it's one of those classic rivalries that they've played since World War II almost every year, and that's when the rivalry started because in the 30s, Notre Dame was good. During World War II and leading up to World War II, Navy had their powerhouse and won some national championships because all the best players were being drafted to fight in the war, but they could also play football. So when it came down to it, Navy was the powerhouse for those war years. And so that's what started that Notre Dame-Navy rivalry, and is still going to this day. Give me Notre Dame to beat Navy in Ireland for my first of my hashtag 5-pack of picks. The next pick is Vanderbilt versus Hawaii. Now you're saying, well, why did you pick these 2? Well, Vanderbilt has an over-under of 3.5 wins this year. And I was listening to the radio over the weekend, and a betting analyst that I know said, watch out for Vandy to get over 3.5 wins this year. So, shoot, they're playing Hawaii. Hawaii hasn't been that good since Colt Brennan and them, since they were the true Rainbow Warriors, high-flying Rainbow Warriors over there. But so give me Vandy to win that one. Then my next pick in my hashtag 5-pack picks is USC versus San Jose State. USC wins big because Caleb Williams is going to be a Heisman hopeful. They want to start out the year, week 0, on a high note. Give me USC to win that game for my third out of my 5 hashtag 5-pack of picks. Then we got the Phillies versus Giants. Give me the Phillies. Phillies are in playoff contention and are healthy. Giants aren't really doing as well. Then we got the Marlins at San Diego. Come on, Marlins. We're in the wild card hunt, but you're tied with a couple of other teams for the final wild card spot. Now, this has been the Leo Be the Lion show. For these last couple minutes, I'm just going to touch on a topic, and then next week I'll get into it a little bit more because I really want to do a kind of a deeper dive into this topic before football starts. But for these last couple minutes, I just want to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, this might be a callback to some of his psychology classes or something that you might have heard, but it's a pyramid, and at the top of the pyramid is self-actualization, and then you got esteem, social, safety, and physiological, and basically they're different levels. And Maslow, he was a psychologist. He's saying that people can't get to the next level of their needs. Like, people can't jump all the way to the top to self-actualization if they don't have physiological needs met. So when you see a homeless guy, when you see somebody maybe down on their luck or pissed off or somebody just acting weird, you might want to consider, before you judge them, you might want to consider, damn, are their needs being met? Are their Maslow's needs being met? Because if somebody's hungry, they don't give a damn about littering, for the most part. If somebody's hungry, they don't care to make art. They don't have time to make art. And so that's a little bit of the rub between the classes now, is that rich people have more of the freedom to realize their self-actualization and do what they really want to do, because they can make it up the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because they're safe, they have other physiological needs met, they have their social needs met, and all that. So next week we're going to take a little deeper dive into Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because I think that's an important subject to talk about, because it affects sports, it affects life, and it affects how we interact with each other. So this has been the Leo Be the Lion show, coming to you live every Monday from Respectable Street via subcultureradio.com. Check me live on subcultureradio.com every Monday from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern. If you can't catch me live, go to YouTube or IG, and I post the videos after the fact on there, and you can find me at Leo Be the Lion Show. This has been the Leo Be the Lion Show. And thank you so much for listening and consuming my content. And have a great week, everybody. Leo Be the Lion, signing off.